Welcome back, everyone. I'm going to keep it. Yeah, second show. It's Lionel and I. It's the Brokeback Mountain couple.
Mini Matters.
That's the right one as well.
Podcast.
We're probably going to hear that as well. I'm never going to, but I'm going to come up with something for that. Something consistent, like an intro that I do every week, so people know. What's this show called now?
I don't know. I thought it was just like a rebranding of what we did before, but you renamed it, didn't you? The Hutber and
That's
Desa
it. The
show.
Hutber and Lionel and Hutber show, or Hutber and Lionel show.
Yeah, that'll do.
It's not very original considering we've got the Hutber show already.
It falls in line with our kind of reduced planning and
yeah.
we care. Effort. I was going to say effort as well. That seemed a bit.
Well, after the 50 minutes of setup, it's still quite a lot of effort, isn't it?
Yeah. We had plans of making it quite quick in and out. Our computers have different ideas.
Yeah, well, that was entirely my fault. But we've got there now, haven't we? We've fixed it. This is going to be now. Next week, I promise you, it's going to be in. I'll turn the Bluetooth off.
If I had £1, Jamie, for every time we said that.
We have said it on every one, but there was a time like where we could just get in and we were up and running within like 20 minutes.
It's one of those things. As soon as we up the cameras and we change variables, we always have issues. So never try to improve. If you take anything away from this, never try to improve. Just
stay where you are.
Stagnate. Stay with the mundane. Yeah.
But embrace it and enjoy it. I'll tell you why I couldn't do an intro that was real, was because I didn't actually remember or think about what it was that we had on this show. I had literally no memory, but only just now am I thinking. I was going to say, have we got a good show for you? And of course I don't know that because, well, you never know really. I think it's a silly thing to say because you can say we've got an action-packed show.
I think by now people know with your intros what they're getting, and I think they want those, Jamie. They want to know what's he going to come out with next. I sit here and record with you all the time, and I don't know what you're going to come out with next. So
I don't fucking know either.
Don't go changing.
It is genuinely, like, I think what's also surprising for me is the surprise, and by that I mean you would think that I've run out of things to change or do, right? Like you can't be any more original, but what it is because there's no like base level or even top level, because it's completely you can always come up with something new because anyway, a good thing about
I like the fact that each week you spend 50 minutes doing setup, and then when you go to do the intro, it's almost like you're surprised that you have to do an intro. What am I doing here?
Yeah. Oh fucking hell! I've just seen the subject that we're going to cover for you is 2.8 million.
Yeah, it's tapping away, isn't it?
It's fascinating. Like 15,000. I suppose let's jump in.
Let's jump in. So do you want to start off with that then? We're going to go with your brushes again.
We can talk about them later.
Really proud of those brushes.
There you go.
Okay, yeah. So the first one that I wanted to just highlight was the new Kickstarter by Simon Games. They're the ones who did the Marvel United, which we both backed. So I wanted to discuss this one with you as well. And what they've effectively done is, you're familiar with Zombicide. They've effectively reskinned Zombicide with the Marvel Zombies theme, and they've got some brilliant miniatures alongside it. So I thought it'd be useful to just have a look at it, because I'm umming and ahhing about backing it. But
should we go through the pledges just because I don't know how much it costs?
Yeah.
Oh, I'll look now. I wonder if that sounds any better. Licking the screen. I think what just first off, it basically they haven't had to come up with a new game, so overheads were really low. They already had all the designs, well, not all of them actually, because you've got X-Men in there, but a lot of the zombie Marvels from the TV show that they already did. But
I'm from the comics as well. But I think Well, let's be honest, the biggest overhead is the license, isn't it? What they're having to
Yeah,
pay.
but
That's it.
didn't we? Maybe it's different when you've got such a well. They know they could, but I'm pretty sure the Marvel license to use Marvel characters was about 40 grand a year or something like that, right? When we were
I think
looking
that
at
was
getting
back
it,
in the day. I think that's pre-films. That's pre MCU, and it costs
because it
more
seems
now, I'm
too cheap,
sure.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
I'm sure that Marvel have a lot of the drive now, and they could do like a. I mean, who the hell are we to even talk about it? But they must be charging royalty based on sales, and a fixed fee
Well,
because
yeah, I would have thought so.
they really have got the the weight behind it, don't they? Like Marvel don't really need com, comic com, CMON.
Simon are a huge producer, though, Jamie. Huge. Like we
Yeah, but
don't.
are they bringing in much like profit if they compared to like what their
Yeah.
films are doing?
Oh, not in comparison to the films, but
Yeah.
in the board game industry, they're huge.
Well,
In,
that's what I was going
in
to bitch about.
in the UK. Oh, right, I see where you're going with this. In the
Yeah.
UK, we we don't pay that much attention to them. Don't get me wrong; their zombie side is a huge system, and they've got loads of other systems that they run. But in America, they're
It's big boy shit, is it?
yeah, they're still just as big. But what I'm saying is their popularity, their recognizability in America is huge. Yeah, they're a big
It's just good.
powerhouse. Yeah.
I mean, I'm ignorant about most things, truth be told, as I mean, as you know. So I've basically never heard of them, other than I've recognised their logo.
Other than backing their
Um,
last thing,
well, I didn't know it was the same people, and
right? Okay.
until you said it in the intro. I actually forgot that I backed that, and I still haven't got that. Obviously, none of us have, right? Have you got yours
No,
in your
UK.
home?
Yeah,
No,
no,
yeah.
UK. It's March. It should be delivering in March.
I'll be dead by March. So what I was going to say, I might be, is well, 15,000. I mean, it eats up a lot, but then it's a different, as in, they're eating up 15,000 people's money that they could be spending on the miniatures, but this is a different. I'm imagining most of that demographic isn't people who would be backing, 1.10 scale or 110 scales or those kind of things. So it's not really the
Are
same.
you
It's not
coming?
comparable.
At the point is the point you're trying to make a company that size shouldn't be using Kickstarter.
Kind of. Yeah,
Yeah,
kind of. Yeah, like they've got
I
financial
understand.
backing. I mean, there's no hard fast rule though, is there, that says Kickstarter? It's just the name kind of implies it
Yeah,
that they.
yeah.
But
I
it's not
mean,
in their
they,
terms
they
that say if you're over.
they made an obscene amount as well off the Kickstarter we backed. But if you can, I suppose it's business versus morality, isn't it? If you can do it and people
Yeah,
back it,
that's what
which
I
they
mean.
clearly have done now, because it's up for a very short period of time. It's only got 14 days on it, and they've already hit those numbers.
Yeah.
And it,
What was their target? Do you know?
which target should be just under it, shouldn't it?
Yeah, I always thought it was, but maybe because it's. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. I can't read it because it's too small on my screen.
3,000. Okay, go on.
Yeah. So, and also the main game is coming to retail as well, like all the zombie sides do. So, even more so, I suppose, if you're going to take that angle, they've already decided that they could bring it to retail while they're having to kickstart. But
Yeah, that's quite cool actually. Is that massive? What that is? That
it's stupidly big. If I do back, I'm not going in with Galacticus. I'm not going in
that
for
would be
Galacticus.
cool. But yeah, that is massive.
Yeah.
Because they're like 28 mil, those little guys, aren't they? Basically, or 32 or
Yeah,
34 or something.
yeah, it'd be about somewhere between 28 and 32 if it's anything like the other zombie side games. But
Quite
But
expensive.
yeah, so my interest, obviously, my main interest in it, Jamie, is the models. I'm probably not going to play the game. I can't see me sitting down and playing the game. But from the renders they've got there, they've got some beautiful models. The Hulk ones are amazing.
Mr. Hulk.
The problem I've got with it, it's not a problem because it's all up front. But if you look at the pledges, they're quite. I don't want to say
Expensive.
Yeah, so the base game I believe is about. Is it £90?
Yeah, probably $130,
Yeah, and
96
then
quid.
obviously,
Yeah.
and then you've got the other one, which has got the add-on, which basically the base game means you can play as the zombie versions of the
Yeah.
heroes, and then you've got the resistance pledge, which is basically you can play as the heroes as well, and that takes it up to about £170, which doesn't seem too bad. But then they do say that they're going to be adding tax on top
Hmm.
afterwards, which is good because obviously with the whole for us in the UK with the whole Brexit thing, you know you've paid tax at source. But then once you start putting tax in and then you start putting shipping in, you're looking at probably crossing the £200 barrier for a board game. Um,
Yeah, I suppose you need to count maybe the amount of models that you actually get. So it's 6. Wait, is this? Why is Hulk happy there? Oh, they're not zombies, right? That's before they're zombified. Yeah, okay.
so there's a zombie
6,
version and
8,
there's a normal version, so to speak,
11,
depending on what
14,
you back.
17, 18. Yeah, so it's you basically get 24 models. So it's $10 a model, which is actually fairly reasonable without the tax, which is what, 20%. So 240, 24. Oh my god, 48. 288. And then shipping is going to be what, $20? So it's like $300 basically, which is
I
what,
think
like
shipping,
260 quid.
I think shipping will be more than that down
Because
to
it's
weight.
heavy.
But yeah. So the problem I've got at the minute
Oh
is
my god.
the completist and obviously the comic book fan I am. I'm thinking of backing it for it, but then as the Marvel United one comes closer to delivering, I thought to myself the other day, I'm not going to need or get anywhere near to painting a fraction of those models. So I'm in this situation now whereby I want them all so that I've got them all, but I know in my heart of hearts, I'm not going to play the game and I'm not going to paint all of those models. Because bearing in mind as well, I'm already playing Marvel Crisis Protocol. So I'm painting their versions of the models to play the game. So that's where I am at the minute. I'm thinking, should I wear a sensible hat and go in for the base pledge? Or should and I realise I'm asking the wrong guy. Bearing in mind the discussion we had last week about spending and addiction, I realise I've come to the wrong person
I'm
as
so
a
much better now.
model.
I'm barely spending, although I did just buy some paints, which we're going to go through later. I don't know if I
Cool.
added it, but I really like these enemy superhero models.
Yeah.
They are really nice. I like that they're not the film ones as well.
Yeah, I don't, and that's what I like about the Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff. I think
Yeah,
had it been the film IP, I wouldn't have
yeah.
been
I'm sick of
focusing on
seeing
that.
the MCU basically. Like,
Yeah.
I see it enough in films. I don't need to paint it as well. Interestingly, I can't actually work out what the hell all these things are. So, like
In
this
terms of
set that here, this is obviously. So I need to scroll down, don't I?
hmm. Yeah, so essentially the core game is, from what I understand, you playing the zombified characters, and the way you win is by stopping the heroes
Yeah.
and eating civilians effectively. The resistance pledge,
Yeah.
the resistance pledge gives you the option to play as the heroes
Yeah.
versus the zombies. So it's a different game mode with different models, and they both interact with each other. And then the Galacticus one is an ultimate event where basically you
He
play
comes down.
against him,
Yeah.
and he can either be true Galacticus or zombie Galacticus.
What the hell would a zombie Galactus even do? Like, he's going to want to do the same thing anyway.
Yeah, yeah. I suppose the narrative is slightly different, but effectively you've got a big guy you've got to stop.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
but he already. Yeah. Okay. So basically, it's 240 to get. You actually, it's more than 24 models. It's a lot more because for
yeah,
240 you get all of them. So it's 24 plus 30, and then you get these, don't you? All the standby
mhm,
bystanders,
yeah. And there's
and you
pledge
get the
goals as
fucking
well.
guards.
Yeah, and there's pledge. I mean, they're repeat models, and you're not going to sit around and go, "Oh, I really want to paint those guards." You're going for the characters, aren't you? But the stretch goals that they're busting through every
Hold
day,
on,
anyway.
sorry, we're back. Yeah, my wife wanted pens.
Jamie's stolen all the pens again and kept them on his desk.
That's my pen desk, like. Yeah, so you get them.
Yeah. So yeah, at the minute I'm being seduced by the sculpts, but I will go in. I think I will go in. It just depends on
But
what level.
Personally, I think you should go for the 240.
Yeah.
To get the X-Men and the heroes. I think that. Oh, I'm scrolling.
There's also the pressure, Jamie. With it only being 14 days. I'm gonna.
But are these
like
even
I said,
exclusives?
there are exclusives there. They got the Kickstarter logo next to the stretch goals, so all the stretch goals are Kickstarter exclusives.
Right, so these are the exclusives.
Yeah.
Right, but they're not the. Okay, it's all these. They're not the best sculpts in my opinion. Hulk is nice.
If you go further towards the bottom, I think you got clearer pictures of the stretch goals as they've hit them.
Oh, I see. Were the stretch goals included in that?
Yeah, they add them there.
Right, so it's all these. Okay, Daily Bloody Google. Yeah, okay. So it's Iron Man, Wasp, Sabretooth, Miss Marvel, Rogue. God, she looks rough. Wolverine. I mean, a zombie Wolverine doesn't even make sense, but obviously it's fine. Okay, Hulk, Jimmy Woo, Storm, Deadpool. Is that a model?
What's that?
Oh, they just haven't released it yet. Okay.
So that's the next stretch goal to hit. So, and we all know, obviously, with the Marvel United one, the models we're getting, there's loads because they hit so many stretch goals. I think it's a case of, as I realise with Marvel United closing in, I'm thinking, I've got nowhere to store all these boxes. I've got
and to paint them.
I've gone in hard, let alone paint them.
You bought the full thing, right? You bought like the real daddy, the real McCoy.
Yeah. So I missed the first one, and I overcompensated by going all in on both. And as I've got all these chibi models heading my way, I'm thinking
these are actually in a way easier to paint than the chibis, in my opinion, because your volumes are more descriptive, like whereas you don't. But, also, this is hilarious. 2,000K. That's just $2,000, isn't it?
Yeah.
But that's very misleading because that comma already says that it's K.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's stupid. Why have they put such low? That means they're guaranteed to get hit.
Yeah, and obviously
before it even opened, they were like they'd already got that money.
Yeah, they've got these models already in production, aren't they? So a lot of these stretch goals are things that they already had good to go. So yeah, and I suppose the other reason for me is because I'm already using the Marvel Crisis Protocol stuff, which are closer to this.
Yeah,
that's where I'm starting to think: do I want to? And obviously, these are more detailed, more refined. I'm thinking, I don't know. What's your opinion? Do you like them?
$110 postage if you get the Galacticos, so that's $520. And then obviously VAT 20%, so $50. So it's $600 basically.
Yeah,
that is a lot. However, if you're in Bosnia or Canary Islands or Cyprus, Iceland, and Malta, it's $385 for postage. So worse though, if you're in Latin America, why the fuck is Latin America so expensive? $407 to $416 postage for the Galacticos. So it's $1,000 to get Galacticos.
Where's it shipping from? Because they're a US company. Are they going like the wrong way around?
Thailand. Language. Right. Oh no. Sorry. I'll take that back. That is where there are Chinese, traditional Korean, and Thailand languages available if you want them. Please note the UPS is America. USPS is where it's shipping from.
So I don't understand why Latin America. Because geographically they're closer, aren't
maybe, they? Or... Oh yeah, Africa's the worst. Africa is the worst. I don't know why this is entertaining, but it is $538 to get it shipped. The base set, just one box of Undead, is $170. Bearing in mind, it's $140, $130 for the bloody hell.
At that point, you think, you know what? I'll wait till it's my
eBay.
local gaming store.
Yeah,
I'll
exactly.
wait
If
till
it
it's my
ever does,
local gaming store and support them.
let them pay the postage.
Yeah.
So actually, ours is actually one of the cheapest. It costs $107 to get the Galacticos delivered from the USA, and to the UK it costs $110.
I mean, Galacticus doesn't appeal to me because one, he's just going to sit on the side of the board and not do anything. Two, he's too big a model to paint. For me, it's like painting one of the Forge World Titans. It's
Titans. Sorry, I thought you meant the old boys.
Yeah, so
I can't scroll up.
Yeah, so I wanted to raise it because one, I really like the models. Obviously, the IP had me sold from the outset. I'm just trying to sleep on it and go with a pledge that is sensible, but that I won't have instant regret when I think, oh no, I missed out on it. This time next year, Jamie, this time next year, I might be crying saying, Jamie, I should have really got that Galacticus. I really wish I had the Galacticus. I don't think I will, but
it's a nice model. It is massive. And it's probably the only Galacticus that is 30 centimeters tall in the world. So in a way,
it's the only one to scale.
It's a Kickstarter. No, he's bigger than that though, isn't he? He can't. I swear he can change his size, can't he?
He can change his size.
Yeah. So he's a dick for coming out so big. He should have just gone down to 32. Fucking selfish.
Think about the
I have to say, I can't back it. I'm on this new vibe of not spending, but I do want to.
Oh really? No, I'm proud of you.
They're nice. Some of them are really nice. Yeah, I haven't shown all the videos from my loft of. I'm back to where I was for sure. And I've just actually.
What do you, as in back to where you were, as in you've got more stuff?
Well, I think when I sold everything, I had around 55 84-litre really useful boxes. And now I think I'm... yeah, rather not. And now I'm down to like... the thing is, I don't even know. I've got to put this... There's a whole section of my loft that I can't get to because it's covered by boxes.
But that doesn't make sense because you sold a lot and you were down to. And if you're not now, that implies that you have done some more buying.
Well, I have, yeah. No, I have. But I sold them in 2019, didn't I?
Right, okay. All right.
I didn't sell the whole collection either. I just sold a large chunk of it. I've just been more selective and it's been harder to... I'm not where I was. I'm just saying... the point I was making is when I was in the loft, for the first time, I was like, fuck, I have too much. It was like overwhelming, as it were, rather than giving me, massive amounts of pleasure. So I've brought back a lot of boxes and I've listed them on eBay. They're not cheap because I still don't want to let them go. In a month's time, if I've not sold them, then I'll bring the prices down, something like that.
Maybe this time next.
Yeah, go on.
Maybe this time next year, I can do a video of me in my loft, crying surrounded by Marvel models, chibi ones, zombie ones.
Yeah. And the next one they release in like 4 or 5 months.
Yeah, and a massive Galacticus sat on my lap.
Genuinely, that is what it felt like. Do you know the Silver Fox giant, like 1/3 scale or 1/4 scale Terminator they did?
Oh yeah, I remember. Is that the one that's pre-painted? Was it the Deathwing one?
Yeah, the one that I nearly did the box arts for.
You did the box art for?
Nearly.
What, painted it?
Yeah.
Well, you're saying this like this is... What?
I was just like... Well, I was messaging with the guy.
You're saying this like we've had this discussion before. We've not had this discussion before.
I think I bought it before I knew you, right? I would have pre-ordered that back in like 2017, maybe.
Yeah, because I remember seeing it at Games Day, and it was there. It was a limited number. It was a limited number, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
And I remember walking around my friend. And this is before I knew. I remember walking around my friend and walking up to it and thinking, "Well, that's big," and it had a limited number and it had a price tag on it. And I said to my friend, What kind of idiot would buy that? Spend
Yeah,
that kind of money on it and buy that. Why do you need a Terminator that size? And lo and behold, I'm now
gumpty
on a
here, isn't it?
podcast with you.
Well, that was the throes of. I mean, like that was at the height of the buying addiction for sure. Because I think the problem I had was there were so many things that I sort of looked back at from like 1999 that obviously in 2017 I was like, oh, if only I had the chance to have bought that back then. So I was buying everything limited. It's like the fact that I bought codexes, limited edition codexes, just blows my mind. Like $100 is crap. No offense, Games Workshop. It's just the normal codex with a fancy box, like those kind of things. So anyway, I saw that and I was like, that is so cool and so unique that I want it, basically, and I don't want to miss out. And I don't know how much I paid for it, but when it finally got delivered, I was sort of out of the core. Because it was like 2 years later, and the box was just massive, and it weighed like, I don't know, it must have been like 18 kilos or something, the whole box.
Yeah.
And I just had it, and I was like, well, I've got nowhere to fucking put it. I've got nothing that's strong enough to hold it.
If anybody breaks into your house, you could kill somebody with it.
If you dropped it on your head, you'd be buggered.
Yeah.
It was literally, it was on my balcony in the box. I'd only ever took it out of the box once to sort of make sure that it was real. And then I just listed it on eBay for like 400 quid. I definitely took a massive hit on it.
Was it not pre-painted then? Because I
Yeah,
assumed it was pre-painted.
It was pre-painted.
I don't understand where the box art thing is coming from.
Well, the thing is, I was emailing the guy, and he happened to be from around the corner, but he was living in Japan for the last like 20 years, but he grew up around here.
Right.
That has nothing to do with it. I was like, when I found it, because I thought it was unpainted, I wanted to paint it myself, and I was messaging him like, look, can you please send me one that isn't painted? And he was like, but he agreed to do it in the end. And then we started talking, and I sent him loads of my paintings, and he was like, do you want to do the box art? Seems like you know what you're talking about. I was like, I do not know what I'm doing.
But box art for a model that comes pre-painted makes no sense.
You make a master painting, his machines go scan the colours and then perfectly match what you paint onto this. Yeah, like some sort of gyro thing. Yeah, so and I was like, look, here's my terms and conditions. I want this. I want an unpainted one, and I want one of the painted ones for free. And let's talk money, like for the actual model. And I was thinking it would take me ages. And then when he came back, I was like, yeah, I don't want to do that. It's not worth my time.
So what he was willing to, what was he willing to pay you?
Well, I don't know if I'm allowed to say. I can tell you later.
Okay.
Yeah, bearing in mind how big.
Put it this way. Now that you're more involved in the hobby and you're painting and you've done all your stuff with Jenny, are you kicking yourself that opportunity didn't present now?
No, and he was like, "We'll get your name at the bottom of the model to say that you're the model painter." Not at all. The time would have taken me so long, and it just wasn't paying. It was paying like a few days' work, of what I was earning in my normal job. So I reckon that would have taken me like.
Do it for money. You wouldn't do it for money though, would you? You do it for the kudos.
Yeah, but I just didn't. I didn't have time either. Like I just didn't have any desire to spend like 3 or 4 weeks painting a big ass model. Basically,
you could have been Jamie Hutber. Who's it? You know, the guy who did the box art for that.
That fucking huge thing. I don't think I would have been able to do it as well as no way. I realise now I was naive and thinking that I could have even painted it well.
See, I disagree because it's so big. From what I saw for that Games Day when it was displayed, and that was a painted one that was displayed, it was pretty much like they paint
dry brushed.
Yeah, it's pretty much like how they paint action figures. It's all machine painted.
Yeah, I don't think I would have done that. That's the thing. I think I would have been painting it like how I paint a normal model, with obviously at a bigger scale, but I still would have been. I definitely don't have the experience to try and paint it like, as you say, a toy model. He was definitely right in in well, in a way, he didn't say no. I was going to say he was definitely right in saying no. It was definitely right that we said no. I think definitely. I couldn't have done it. There's no way I could have done it. I'll show you. I'll show you the email chain. But I just remembered how annoyed I was that he didn't send me. So he didn't send me an unpainted one in the end. He just sent me a normal painted one.
Well, lucky for you.
Forgot about me. Yeah, well, yeah. Well, so the point is, I sold it at a loss because I was so fed up of having it, and that's. I also sold my Street Fighter. You know that Kickstarter, the Street Fighter one. Sold that like a massive loss. I sold that for like 40, 50 quid or something. I must have spent 200 quid on it. Yeah, I didn't realise.
To be honest, with all due respect, you deserve to lose money on that because everybody could see from the Kickstarter page.
I had no idea
that.
You know what? We've spoken about it before, haven't we?
About what?
How disappointed I were that they weren't pre-painted. That they were pre-painted. They had like.
Yeah, but it's quite clear on the Kickstarter page, Jamie, that they were pre-painted. But
that's why I don't like renders. They're so fucking confusing.
But equally, you could have base coated that. You could have painted.
The models were crap. The models were rubbish. Right. I didn't want to paint on that. No offense to everyone who worked on it. It just wasn't what I thought it was, and I wasn't annoyed. I didn't feel like I'd been duped or like I was.
No.
No, I was just like, well, that's not what I thought that was going to be. You son of a bitch! I was disappointed that the opportunity missed. Anyway, I sold it to some guy. Street Fighter.
Yeah. For me, Street Fighter is one of those games that you've got to be playing it. You don't want to be playing it on a board.
No, but I just wanted to paint like Ryu and Ken, and that's it really. Chun-Li, I guess. I can't do skin, so I would have avoided like Dal Sim and E Honda. But yeah, the real point was, I was in the loft, and I was feeling like I've got too much. Like rather than feeling like I haven't got enough, I was thinking, okay, I've got too much now, which is where I think
that's an improvement on the mindset, then, isn't it? If you're thinking that way.
Yeah, it just shows that it's changed. I'm much more now into actually trying to paint, I think, and get the models down. Like I don't know, like how empty my cabinet is compared to
what it was
before. It was. I know I've spoken about it before, but it's a good reminder of. I want painted models in there. I don't just want like showcase, and so yeah, it is. It's nice, and it's a lot less stressful actually. It's like if you're an addict. This is an analogy that is not an analogy at all. Actually, it's just a description of what I feel like especially with ADD. When I get ADD, like, well, I've always got it. When I'm in a mode of like I must do something, nothing else. I can't focus on anything else until that's finished. Yeah. And it's really similar to when, like, if I'm, how to say it, like if I'm trying to find, like you with your covers, you almost can't rest until you've got the full set, right? And nothing else, like everything else sort of loses vibrancy, color, taste, blah, blah, blah. It's extreme, but that's the kind of feeling that you get. And now, so you can't enjoy your normal life because you're so focused on one part of it, which is whatever it is, gambling or finding this box set. Whereas now I think, now I realise that I'm not chasing the models anymore. I'm actually just wanting to paint. I'm actually enjoying painting again, rather than, buying all the paints, buying all the brushes. Even though, sure, you know, the brushes I bought, just that was on the little. Anyway. So I would buy them if I were you. That's my advice.
So I think I am going to back it. It just depends on. I don't know whether to go just base or more. I think about it because for me it's more of a case of I'm quite minimalist, and I've gone through a clearing out phase, and I didn't need to like you did, but clearing out just cleared my mind. I quite not having much stuff around, and I don't have much room. It's why I'm kind of not panicked, but a bit annoyed about the Marvel United stuff coming because I realised there's about 20
It will
boxes coming
ruin
by.
your yeah.
Well, for a start, I've got nowhere to put them, and a lot of them. I actually think a lot of it's going to go and be sold. I think as soon as it comes
Right.
through, I'm going to look at it. I'm going to look at it, look at the base sets that I want, and that I think I'm going to play with the
Take
girls
them
and
out.
say to them,
Yeah.
which models do you like? What do you want to paint? And anything that isn't in there, I'm going to sell it because I realise as well I don't need that many options. It's effectively the same game. It's effectively Monopoly, but I've got 25 versions of the car that goes round, and I've got 20 locations for the utilities, but they've all got the same mechanism. You still have to pay 10 times what you land when you land on it. It's just got a different space when you land on it. So that's what I've kind of realised, and it just shows the seduction. It just shows the seduction of Kickstarter. So
it's fascinating because you don't get it straight away either. So it's like, but in a way, it's like you're buying yourself a treat for 2 or 3 years in the future, and then when you get it, you'll be like, ooh.
It's weird as well because the Marvel United one was slightly different because I missed it the first time round because it was on a point when I decided to come off Kickstarter because I was just buying stuff I didn't need, and then I had a real missing out when it came out. Oh, is this still live? No, it's gone. It went about 3 months ago. I thought, oh my god,
You saw all
you're
the
not
pictures, didn't you? Like all the artists were.
Yeah. So when it came, and to be honest, Big Child have got a lot of blame to lay there as well because their paint jobs and the stuff they did is what really sold it to me.
Yeah.
So well done, Big Child. So when it did come around again for the second time, where you could get the original pledge and the X-Men stuff, I went heavy, and then obviously now that it's nearing to arriving, I'm thinking, did I need to go that heavy? And that's what I'm feeling now with this. But I've noticed there's no painted models at the moment for any of that stuff.
So you reckon when they come, you might be like,
yeah, I think my brain might leave my head, and I'll go, yeah.
Well, postage is only $32 for the single set and $60 for the double.
Oh, it's a bargain, Jamie.
It's a bloody bargain.
It almost pays for itself, doesn't it?
With happiness and joy. Well, actually, your downsizing or cleaning or whatever was what made me. It started the thought process for me to start doing that subconsciously, I think, anyway. And then I realised, that's what I want to do, and it's made a huge difference actually. And there's still some stuff I need to get rid of in my room, but very, very little now.
But more importantly, it's led you to picking up the brush again, which is what it helped me for. So I'm glad it's done that.
Yeah. We should do a video on that. How to stop being, or how to stop. We can think of some clickbait title later. It's fine. But big difference.
I'm just wondering whether we talk about the next thing because I think it's directly linked. Either this could be your ultimate temptation to add to your stockpile, or you could be disgusted with what's happening and you're not going to add to your stockpile.
Oh, well, I'm fucking outraged by it all.
I know you are. And that's part of the reason why I want to talk about it, because I find it funny seeing how outraged and how emotive you get, because I'm straight down the line with it. So
I'll tell you what's so sad and what honestly really, really annoys me is I knew it was coming. I feel like such a twat for having any kind of 1% of me was like, oh, they'll do a good job. So anyway, I'm talking about Eldar, by the way, for all the people who obviously know what I'm talking about. But I do want to find. Oh, that's no. Don't look at that. You can actually. It's probably nothing. It was my WhatsApp. For 1 sec, I need to. Because I want to get the
all your side chicks.
Yeah, exactly. Tina will be fuming. I wanted to get an animated GIF. So
you got an image of the Eldar as well. So I think
we're back in. We're filming. Game face back. Yeah, I do though. Right, yeah. So but the thing is, it's not just the Dark Reapers. I actually don't have a lot of hatred has gone around the Dark Reapers as if they were the bad things that they've released recently. So much. I wanted to do a whole separate episode on this, and I've really.
Well, the big ones are still yet to come, aren't they? Which is the Avatar.
Yeah, they're going to be crap. They're just going to be. They're going to be bollocks. I could. Right. I could.
I've got to say, I just want to. Oh, my camera's gone off. So shocked by what you said, Jamie. Switch itself off. I've got to say, what makes me laugh about it is I'm on the same groups you're on, Eldar ones, because you've invited me there and made me join. And what you see months and months of gamers complaining that they've had no new sculpts, no new models, nothing.
Fuck.
Sarcastic, even your camera's gone. Sarcastic comments about yet more Space Marines, and then finally they get something, and they're fuming. And honestly, I feel for Games Workshop here, where you cannot please
do it
them.
right.
No, you can't.
Honestly,
you cannot. You cannot.
I would have done it
them.
right. I would have.
And I still think there's an element off as well. Games Workshop are like Coldplay, where I think sometimes it's just cool to hate them. I think people hate on Games Workshop just because it makes them a bit edgy to hate on Games Workshop, and it's all right to like the odd Coldplay song and Justin Bieber. And I'm at that stage in life now where I can listen to any kind of music, and it's all right. It is what it is. And I don't know if you're going to get the models up and we're going to look at them. But from somebody who's not vested in Eldar and equally not really vested in GW at the minute, I think they're nice.
You're just lying to get the fans, aren't you? You just don't want to be that guy who lies.
No.
It's impossible to say they're nice. Sorry, wait. Let me pause. So I have so many well documented issues.
Again.
Oh yeah, sorry, right. So we are, yeah. You think the Avatar will be good? I can tell you categorically what the Avatar will look like, and what Morgan Ra will look like, and any other character that Games Workshop apparently are going to release ever. It's well, yeah. I feel like.
Isn't the Avatar going to be based on Mark Gibbons' art? That piece by him.
Basically, that's what I think. Or it's exactly the same.
You like Mark Gibbons' art. You purchased Mark Gibbons' art.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I love what Mark Gibbons has done for the industry, for Games Workshop. His artwork's fantastic. The Avatar doesn't translate well into a model, personally, I don't think. But actually, it's more than that. I think. I wonder if I can find an example of what I'm talking about. So, like, I've got. Yeah, okay. So, basically, this is what every single release that they do right now. And I came up with the perfect analogy, which is why I thought I could do a whole episode on it. I still could, standalone. Basically, what they are doing at the moment is they're doing exactly what the film industry have done. When you take a film from the 80s and you re-release it in 4K and you do a whole load of publicity around it, and all that happens is it's slightly better quality, which is exactly what they're doing with all the models at the moment. They're just making 4K versions of them. So, right, this is obviously the old one from probably 93 or 4. I think Jez did the Chaos Space Marines. I'm pretty sure he did. And this is the new one. Right. So, my issues with it. It's cleaner, the sculpt, and that's all they've done. And they've stuck him on a twatty base that's massive. So Morgan Ra and the Avatar and any other Eldar character that's been released by them just has a new base at the bottom. Jane Zar, for example, that they did is exactly the same as the old one. So this year, look, same head, right, which is fine because he's the same character, same weapon, same position. He's just leaning forward slightly more. Otherwise, it's exactly the fucking same. Arguably, I think the sculpt's worse. Like the cloth doesn't make any sense. Why? But that's completely separate. Actually, my main frustration with them is there's no ingenuity and there's nothing new. It's just rehashing the same model from 20 years ago. And it's the same with the Eldar that they do. So.
I don't understand what I mean. I don't agree entirely with what you said in the sense that, to me, I look at the two. Go back to Actually, should
Has
we
to
talk
look
about the
like
Elder? Let's talk about the Elder because that's you've given it as an example. Let's talk about the Elder. What you're saying is,
yeah.
what you're saying is they've taken the classic sculpt and they've updated it so it's still recognizable as the character it is, but they've just made it better.
No, it's the
But
pose.
that's
It's the
that's
pose
the
that the
whole.
issue is.
Okay, but let's part the Chaos guy for one side. Let's part the Chaos guy
Yeah.
to one side. Let's talk about the Eldar.
For
What
me,
is your
the
complaint still the same with this Eldar with the Guardians?
the Guardians. Hold on. The Guardians. Sorry for the webcam shift. Yeah. So I think what I wanted was new weapons, new features, a new version of maybe armor, just something new that's not 23 years or 22 years in the making, and it's just literally a HD version. I mean, I have problems with the thighs, the legs are too big, the proportions for me look wrong. I've spoken to other people, and the proportions for them they look fine. But yeah, I don't like that armor. But
Do we know if these models have been embiggened at all? Because obviously everything's got
I think
slightly
they must
big.
be. Yeah, I think they must be slightly taller because Eldar were always going to be should have been a bit taller anyway. A little bit smaller than Marines, but bigger than Guardians. Not Guardians, Imperial Guard, which I think they are. But yeah, they are taller. But that's fine. It's why they should just be like lithe and skinny and Eldar like. They don't. But that was actually besides the point of why I was disappointed. There was just nothing new. Hold on. I mean, this was. I mean, I don't really understand what that is. Why is she wearing a G-string? Why does she have a belly button on armor?
I mean, go back. Go back to the first photo. For me, it's a marked improvement while at the same time maintaining the same characteristics, because the problem you're going to have is if you change it too much, people are going to turn around and say, oh, this doesn't look like Eldar. It's too different. If you keep it the same, then you're going to have people turning around. And I think there are different weapons, aren't there? There's different weapon upgrades. I think they do have new weapons coming across.
No new weapons that are new, as it were. But yeah, they should have weapon upgrades. I mean, in theory, this is new technology. Whatever that. Why did they give her why did they make such a female? Anyway, but that's one thing.
But also that's what I like it, because obviously from what I understand of the Eldar, obviously everybody picks up arms, don't they, and gets involved in the fight, and everybody is a guardian to begin with. So although that was always in the narrative and the lore back in the day,
they were in the third. They were in the third edition models. Women. Yeah.
Yeah, but they never came across as women.
Yeah, but
whereas now they do. You can tell that's a woman under the armor.
Yeah, but you did
without having to overly sexualize her.
Well, they have overly sexualized by giving a belly button and a fucking G-string. To be fair, though, the men are wearing G-strings as well.
Exactly. No, that's an armor design.
So the change that they've made is the belly button armor. Before, females, everything was identical.
That's enough for the entire box to. Surely you can build them all as men if you want to.
I don't know. I don't care. I know I don't care because I don't think it's good. The head for me is too big. The torso is too small. The legs are just weird. Proportionally, it doesn't look real. But GW
that's not my problem. Has always been heroic proportions, hasn't it? So even if you look at Space Marines and Imperial Guard, which are meant to be humans, they've got big hands and.
I don't have I also wouldn't say the Guardians.
I'm going to be controversial for you now, and I'll be honest. Before, I've looked at them and I've not paid much attention, but I've looked at them and think, yeah, they're all right, actually. They're a decent update. The more we look at them now, because I've never looked at them for this long, at this amount of detail with you, I actually like them. I'm moving more towards actually really liking them. And also the paint style that Heavy Metal have done. I know they've got their way of doing stuff. I think that's a really nice paint job for GW's kind of box art, and bearing in mind that these are miniatures that are in an army of 30 or 40 models, and you're getting stuff to be painted.
It's better than it's better than the other box arts. No, I mean I specifically, I don't. I mean, I do dislike these, but that wasn't my problem. Just specifically the Guardians, like, and what we've spoken about has gone into quite a lot of detail. But the armor is wrong if you're going with how Eldar were before, right? But not in a way that offers any improvements. And physically, the legs are too muscular. But that's just me being hypersensitive. I still think they should have done more with them. And if I was over there doing the Eldar, it would have been different. It would have been like 1999. So to draw the comparison, that this is my real issue. This whole thing, that more than the Guardians.
You don't play Chaos. You don't even own that Chaos Sorcerer.
No, it's the rehashing of. It's basically making 4K versions of models. I would have liked to have seen an update on the armor. Make it. Basically, when I guess I'm being.
I don't follow the lore enough. Has the character had an update in armor, or are they just saying this is a newer model? Because if it's the same character that's always been in existence, his armor wouldn't be updated. It would be just a newer sculpt of the character. So the one I draw the comparison for is Mephiston. So the old Mephiston was the classic star shape, wasn't it? Arms out to the side, legs out to the side. And then obviously they used the Mark Gibbons.
Oh, this is the Blood Angel guy.
Then they used the Mark Gibbons inspired art. And Mephiston was one of my favorite models growing up as a kid. Then they used the Mark Gibbons art and basically did a complete render of that art to the Mephiston model we have now. I think it's a beautiful model. I think it's a really nice model. And the lore hasn't changed, so there's no reason to change his armor, update his look, or change anything.
Yeah.
They've just brought him more in line with scale and style of what they've got now. I see nothing wrong with it.
So, but keep the same pose and put him on a floaty thing. Not changing the armor. I mean, they've changed it in ways, right? Fine. Like it's not a carbon copy of the old one. I guess like, why use some artwork from 25, 30 years ago? Why not come up with something new?
Because it's still good artwork. It's classic. It's classic. Mark Gibbons' work is.
I'm not saying it's not good. I'm saying it's just boring. Why not come up with something new? It's a bit like Star Wars, J.J. Abrams stuff. He wants to still get.
Well, they did something new with Star Wars, and look how that ended up.
Well, yeah, but this is my point with basically there's no ingenuity and there's no pushing of any boundaries. It's all very safe and boring, and that's kind of where I.
But do you not think if you're gonna borrow the analogy of films, do you not think this is fan service? In the sense that they want to see those classic pieces of art they grew up as sculpts. They want to see the same character just updated, because I guarantee you, Jamie, if they change that character significantly, you'd have equal, if not more, people shouting, "That's not the Ahriman I remember. That's not Ahriman. That's another generic sorcerer. It hasn't got the telltale marks of what Ahriman should look like."
What I would like, and this is wishful thinking, I would like them to do two models. One is a special edition, which is Mark Gibbons artwork, and you sell it for 4 weeks or something, and then it's gone, because then it's doing a fan service to the fans. But I don't think that should be where your company settles. Like, that shouldn't be the base mark of what you're trying to do as one of the world's best companies for doing these kind of things. Shouldn't be just, we'll just run through the mill, do what's safe.
But if they're selling, clearly these models are selling for them to do the same thing. So from a business
and that's a frustration though, because just because you have a market monopoly doesn't mean you shouldn't innovate. Like, maybe the innovation is done on the plastic casts and the 3D sculpting. Maybe that's where the innovation is. I think it's a wasted opportunity to push the boat out. So, like, going on from that.
Have you got the Reapers? Yeah.
Well, what else did they do? So
well, about to say, what has been released so far? They've done.
Yeah, I'm gonna pause. Yeah. Right. So this is with the other release that they did, the Guardians. Right. So you've got an issue, and my issue with it is it's a carbon copy of the old Autarch that they did. He's standing on a stupid rock, which they all are doing. He's got a Ponzi hat, and it's in no way different. Also, I think it's a bit weird, but he's got two weapons there. One that you need two hands to shoot, and then a close quarter one. But you can throw that spear. He could quickly shoot, and the spear will come back to him. Or he could put the spear in the floor and then do one of these. I don't know. That's not my issue with it. The issue with it is it's exactly the same as the model that came out in 2010. That's my issue with it. Except that now he's got. In fact, it might be the same model. Okay, what's your issue with it? Okay. The old one. No, that is an old one, but that's not the model that I was talking about.
Right. I like it. I actually quite like the model. I don't like the rock because it looks like he's surfing. When I see that, I can't unsee him. It looks like he's on a skateboard or a surfboard. And he's
doing a little little.
So I don't mind foot on rock. I don't get as offended as some people by foot on rock, but that's a very bizarre pose because it looks like he's surfing.
But it's the same one that they had. Hold on. Oh. So this is the one that was released in 2010, yeah. And my issue.
Wings, though.
Yeah. Oh, you can change the back. You can give him the flagpoles. The whole point is he's customizable, and you can give him anything. Yeah, and so this is.
So the new kit comes with wings, does it?
I don't know about wings, but in the game you can outfit them all with, the warp generator, a normal backpack, or flying wings. So it's the same model, right? And that's my issue with it.
It's the same rock. It is the same rock. It's rock. Yeah.
But it's an updated 4K rock. And that's my issue with these releases. Is there's just zero desire to change.
I'll give it to you. That one's slightly more obvious in terms of.
When you live and die, breathe Eldar, it's all obvious. All right. So the Dark Reapers. Yeah.
Right.
Now the memes that came out of this were not actually what I thought. I just looked at it and was just thought it's borderline pathetic. Now,
with the memes, because I've not seen the memes.
Yeah, I'll get there once we've discussed it. Now, what I will say is, when I say it's pathetic, I don't want to disrespect the people who are working on it because they are obviously trying their hardest. It's not like they're trying to build something to not be good. It's just that my tastes differ quite strongly from everything that's been released in 3D that GW have done. And I'm in the minority there because obviously they're selling loads. But yeah, there were lots of things. A lot of people have talked about how the face looks like a cuddly toy. Or can you see or not very well?
I can, yeah.
Is that better?
Mm-hmm.
It just doesn't. It's existential. It's more than just this model is.
When the old Reapers all pointing in one direction in exactly the same pose in like a launch formation.
The old Dark Reapers were really nice in my opinion. So they were. Wait for it. These guys. So I really like these Dark Reapers.
Come on, Jamie.
I like them. I think they're brilliant. But sure, if you want to get technical,
are you seriously telling me that they're good enough? Look, they're all in exactly the same pose, doing exactly.
Yeah, but I like the model more. I don't care about the pose. I think it's so these were the one.
I think you're making excuses for the sins of the past, but then
no, I like them more than I like these, without any shadow of a doubt. Like, there's no comparison. These I hate, which is the old versions. Like,
all right, well, just went. I had it. All right, okay.
No, these are the versions before, and these are the ones. The 3rd edition ones are the ones, or 4th edition they came out were the ones that I painted the most as a kid. I'm just. Hold on, I'll pause quickly, and I'll tell you when we're back. Fucking hell, yeah, these versions. I still prefer these to the new ones, but this is not a good. Do you remember these ones?
Yeah.
Right, I'm paused now. So apparently we were talking. I wasn't paused. Anyway, there might be some confusion there on when I was paused and when I wasn't. These are the ones.
I'm confused. I don't know when we're paused.
We're recording now. these are the ones I grew up with, and I still didn't like these compared to these. These look evil, and you wouldn't want to meet them in a dark tunnel. These, you'd go, oh, hey, pal, how you doing? Basically, what all I'm trying to say is the modern sculpts have no menace about them. There's no... they don't strike fear in you, do they?
Nor do the old ones. The old ones just look laughable now by today's standards.
Okay, I suppose I'm specifically then, Morgan Ra is a great sculpt.
Yeah, back then, but we've not seen the new Morgan Ra yet, have we? There's a new Morgan Ra coming.
Yeah, well, I know what it's going to look like. So,
what? Let's go across. Let's see what the other things look like. What are the memes? I've not seen the memes.
All right, that's one of them.
Right. But didn't they all have those ends before? Did they all have those? They all have those ends before.
They did. But the ammo wasn't.
I've got to admit that last pose was a bit silly with the double launcher. Yeah, yeah.
So
wait a minute. Wait a minute. Go back to that other meme. That's not the real model because they've just mirrored it.
No, it's not the real model. They've just cut it in half and put it.
Exactly. So why have you let me comment on that and let me believe that it's a real model? They're obviously affecting.
Oh, I just assumed you knew.
No, I didn't.
Also, I this whole concept of being out, this is the ammo, is new, and I always was under the impression
missiles launched from inside. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, so I don't know, but that's that. I always feel like for stuff like that, it doesn't actually annoy me because it's kind of like, in a way, the rule of cool, and it's just
or maybe don't they have different launch profiles? So maybe that's not ammo. That's just a different head for a different launch profile.
Possibly, but then your Eldar, who the hell wants to? You're too advanced to be dealing with that stuff. Also, they don't. They have one, and it's not actually a missile launcher. It's a Dark Reaper which fires a plasma thing. Only the Exarch has a missile launcher, so it's like
I think you'll find.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Get it right. I just, it reminds me of a toy from a shop, like these legs and all that. Anyway, really, I don't have a problem with these that much, any more than I do with the Guardians or anything like that. I don't really care. Like, the faces for me aren't even that bad. They're the same. They're the same as
I think the faces are quite emotionless, and that's the point, isn't it?
Yeah, but they're too happy. They don't look. Just you can see that these are cartoonish, though, can't you?
No more than the rest of GW stuff. GW right, ultra realistic, have they?
They were a little bit more dark when they, like 20 years ago, for sure. It's a symptom of the 3D sculpts, I think. Like that you can't get away from that.
I don't think this is an accident. I mean, a company this size doesn't produce these models and go, "Oh, we'll do this." They've deliberately picked up and carried over characteristics because they're all about the silhouette. They're all about the recognizability of the model from the silhouette. So they've carried that over. They've deliberately not, unless it's like the Primaris, where there's narrative to say the armor's changed, the size has changed, therefore these are new models. Yeah. As far as I'm aware, and I don't keep up with GW lore, the narrative hasn't changed for Eldar. So a modern update.
Well,
update is the best, and all that. And if they did change the narrative, no doubt they'd all be complaining, like some of the Space Marine players were complaining, "Oh, well, my models are completely defunct now because I have to buy a whole new army because normal Marines don't exist anymore." So they're damned if they do and they're damned if they don't.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with that. And my answer to that is just do it better, basically. Now, the real key here is, if you don't like it, just don't buy it. That's basically it, isn't it? They've got no obligation to make them.
You don't game. You don't game, so you don't need to buy them.
Yeah, I only want to buy them because I like Eldar. So that leads me on to, I can't find the jet bikes, the Sky Riders, which was a new technology. Pardon?
The only thing that didn't make sense for me on those is that all the scouts are in camo, but the bikes are normal colours.
Well,
unless the enemy's really stupid and they think that bike's flying itself, you're pretty much going to be able to. You're pretty much going to hit the driver because you can get a guesstimate as to where he's going to be sitting.
Yeah,
That's
he
the
was
only thing
always
that
dry.
didn't make, yeah,
Yeah, I
That's the
agree
only
with
thing
that.
that didn't make sense to me. Why they've gone through all that effort of being in camo gear, but the bike is still bright red.
I don't understand in any capacity from a law perspective why a sniper who's an infiltrator would snipe from the back of a jet bike. I understand they might go on jet bikes to get somewhere quicker.
Get to location.
Yeah, and in theory those jet bikes are silent as well. Although in some old stuff they weren't. They were fucking loud. But so yeah, I personally would have liked some Banshees or something else.
Yeah, but Banshees have had a release. What?
Well, they
2
can go
years
in
ago,
they go in the grav tank. No, I'm talking about a flyer, some sort of special. I don't need to keep looking.
Sorry.
So yeah.
For me, I think it's before. I don't know if you moved off the topic, but for me, it's like I'm getting some of the older graphic novels that I bought that I read as a kid, and when I read them, they fill me with joy, and I love the artwork, and it brings back the nostalgia, and I feel like I'm a kid again. However, objectively, when I look at the stuff that I read when I was 13, and I look at some of the art that's being done now, equally, I look at some of the art that's only 10 years ago. I have to say the art is better. It doesn't provide me. It doesn't provide me with the warm fuzzies that the older stuff do. And hats off to the old stuff because it was brilliant at its time. But I have to objectively say that the art now is better. You have to say that.
But it's it's different though because it's two different mediums. What you're saying is the artists are improving. Oh, they're using digital. Yeah, okay. You could argue they're doing digitally now, whereas everything was hand drawn then.
So, like, I've got one of the old
plastic
Tyranids from Tyranid Attack or Advanced Space Crusade, it was called back in the day, and I love that model for nostalgia. I love that model for nostalgia reasons. And I like the old Space Marines from Space Hulk, but I can't look at that and a Primaris Marine and go, "No, it's not the same. The Primaris, it's got no soul. It's got no." For the love of God, Jamie, you've got to look at it objectively. I think you're confusing your nostalgia and your fond memories of what sculpts used to be like, and that's what you think is wrong with the sculpts now.
No, I'll tell you why I know I'm wrong. You're wrong and I'm right. Because I had models sculpted by modern sculptors using 3D, and in my opinion, they're 4 or 5 times better than what GW are producing. But
that's because that's your own passion piece that you've had direction over. You're personally involved in it, so you're not being objective. You need to give that model to somebody else, a third party, and go, which one's better?
Now, you might be right about that, about me not being able to be objective, but well, everything is subjective, isn't it? Realistically, like some people like these Dark Reapers, and I can't believe it. Like I'm dumbfounded by it.
You're always going to have outliers, and you're always going to have people who don't agree. But there will always be a main voice about something that generally is correct. The main voice generally is correct.
Yeah, but then you go back 100 years, and the opinions of people then was completely wrong, and only now you look back and you go, oh yeah, all those people who didn't let women vote were idiots. Now, I'm not saying that we should push for change on Eldar. No, obviously, I'm not drawing a comparison there. But all I'm saying is, I honestly think, different. No, but I genuinely think that in 10 years or 20 years, Games Workshop, you'll look back at these models and no one will think they were brilliant. I think they'll look at it was like sculptors trying to find their feet.
No, I'll tell you who will think they were brilliant. The 12 and 13-year-olds of today. And the 12 and 13-year-olds of today...
I get what you're saying, though.
In 20 or 30 years' time, we'll go back and go, oh, can you believe these new Dark Reapers? The best ones were the ones that they released in 2022. Just after the pandemic. A lot of bad stuff came out of the pandemic, but the best thing that came out of it was the
Dark Reapers.
Yeah, exactly.
These were gone by the time I didn't have these as a kid. I didn't grow up with these ones, and I still prefer them. Now, what I will say,
inspirational.
No, I didn't even really know about them until. Well, I did know, but I'd never painted one or really saw one. I get it. They're small, they're the same. All I was bringing up for my point on these were there's a little bit of as it were, like imagination you have to use for their being badass. Whereas these guys, you don't have that. I suppose it's a bit like getting a woman home and seeing everything versus going on a date with her and having that excitement. Whereas, and I think somehow when it's so clean and obvious, it becomes less exciting. And I think it's shit. You can't. The analogy's lost on you.
I think particularly when where Eldar are concerned, I can be quite objective because I've got no vested interest in them.
Yeah, but you also don't know the nuances. But also, actually, it just boils down to you don't hate 3D sculpting, and I dislike Games Workshop's 3D sculpting. I think that's fundamentally where the crux of this argument also.
And also, you like Oldhammer, and although I appreciate Oldhammer and where it was, as in old back in the day, I equally recognise that it's not that good now.
But the only reason why I like Oldhammer is because Games Workshop can't make a good model. It's nothing to do with that I like that. Because Oldhammer wasn't even around. I wasn't doing Oldhammer when I was 13, 14. I was doing Middlehammer.
I didn't even know that was a thing. I thought, right, I thought the reason you liked Oldhammer is because that's what you grew up with.
I didn't grow up with Oldhammer, no. I grew up with Middlehammer, which is...
What is Middlehammer when it's at home? I thought...
This is Middlehammer. Middlehammer is from 1997 to around, like, maybe 2005, something like that. That's Middlehammer. It's basically 3rd edition and 4th edition 40k and 5th and 6th of Fantasy. And Oldhammer is 2nd edition 40k and obviously 1st edition to 4th edition, roughly, loosely. Middlehammer is my favourite. More than Oldhammer. But I like the Oldhammer models more than I like the modern sculpts. I suppose there's two things going on here because we've gone round in circles now, Lionel. First of all, I don't think there's enough innovation from Games Workshop. That's one thing, and that's nothing to do with the sculpts. I just think there should be more. And the second point is, I don't think that they're sculpts. They're too clean. And that's the style that they've gone for. It's very deliberate, and they're selling loads. And that's why I don't buy them, because I don't like it. But I feel really strongly about Eldar, so I have to bitch about it, basically. Yeah. Oh, you can't see what I'm on the screen.
If nothing else, it helps you out with your spending issues, doesn't it? The fact that you're not tempted by any of them means you're not going to go out and buy 30 boxes of Guardians that you don't need. So,
well, what it does,
if nothing else, thank them for that.
What it did, in fact, the only reason why I started getting sculpts done was because Games Workshop weren't doing what I wanted them to do, and that I've spent a lot on that, like a lot. But yeah, that leads me to I bought some new brushes because my old ones were dead, and I will say I forgot how good Winsor & Newton are.
When you get them from a decent supplier, they're the best.
Ken. Yeah. But this is what I was gonna. You've seen this model, haven't you?
I must have. I see so many whips of stuff, Eldar stuff you've got going in, and after the first 5 images, I tend to glaze over.
So this is Oldhammer. And this is how I will always see Eldar.
It's a nice sculpt. It's a very nice sculpt.
But how does it compare? Hold on.
Are you getting these to
shit? I was paused.
Paint?
Gone.
Oh, you're joking.
I don't know how long.
So are you getting these to paint to go as part of your display, or?
Yeah, this will all be for painting. I think I paused and we missed all of this, which was great content, Lionel, wasn't it? It was great content. Anyway, to fill in if we haven't, Juan Diaz is now, he and I are like amigos, and he is helping me out with Eldar and filling my gap, as it were. If I didn't pause, that made that joke twice, and I didn't even know that I made that joke twice. So yeah, blah 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 paints. So yeah, he's basically building me. This model is from the 3rd edition codex, which is part of the Eldar project that I need. So it's a conversion that's in the codex. So but yeah, this beautiful relationship that we're building, basically, he's just going to sculpt me loads of Elder stuff. And but in the perfect, like I don't even need to tell him. He just knows Elder well enough. And I've never worked with anyone like that. Like, the amount of time I spent with Hakim to do the fixes for the 75mm Elder that we did, it was extreme. Like, the amount of back and forwards we had. He got pissed off in the end. I had to pay extra because he was like, "This is ridiculous." But you know, when you've got to do Elder, Lionel, you have to do it right.
Ironically enough, I might be tempted, because I've not painted anything GW for a year or over. If the new avatar that comes out, I might be tempted, depending on what it looks like, I might be tempted to pick that up and have a go. Or at the very least, Mugen Ra. Or maybe if they've released a new Warlock, or just a single character, I feel like I need to paint
a nice one, though. A nice single character.
Well, nice by my perspective, not my perspective, because
the avatar is going to have fire on him, and fire is one of the worst looking things on a model that GW could possibly do. Fire and smoke.
Yeah, I understand smoke.
Ugh, I just don't know why you bother. Feels a little bit like a kid with a load of money and they're just experimenting, and they're like, "Oh, this is new, let's do that." God, I've gotten quite hard.
The big selling point for the avatars will be embiggened, won't it? So it's finally going to be a size that does it justice. Because although I really like the Forge-World one, although the Forge-World one was bigger, because the one that you've got to admit, surely the one in 3rd edition, which was that big, you know,
it was big by the standards back then. It was double the height of a Guardian.
Was it? I don't think it was.
Roughly, I think.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, it was a head. It was a head bigger.
Yeah, it was a nonsense. And then the one they released
still
in the
like
90s,
10 foot tall.
Yeah, the one they released.
Elder are like six to 7 foot.
The one in the 90s they released was slightly bigger and stockier, and then finally the one they hit with Forge World was more of the size. So I think what we're going to get now is something along the same scale as the Greater Demons that they've got. So it'll probably be £90.
I think possibly as big as the guy with the wings.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Yeah.
And he's going to have 3 weapons as well, and I think an alternative head. So from that perspective, it's fantastic.
And a base with loads of Dead Space Marines on it.
100%. No, there won't be. There'll be some burnt like Craft World thing, or almost guaranteed. Yeah, it's just going to be like it's embarrassing for someone like me with my high premiums, Lionel. That's with irony. Obviously, I say that. I'm not looking forward to actually seeing the Avatar.
I almost want to buy it and paint it to spite you, and then we can just talk about it on the show. And what my painting experience was like. I'm not even going to do a good job on it. I'll just base coat it. I just want it on the show so that we can talk about
it. That'd be great. I think I realised like just the other day that I wish that I could never see any of the Elder that they released in the last like 6 years. Like, it would have been easier had I just never seen it, because I wouldn't have these feelings and everyone else would be happy and I wouldn't know. But then people keep sending me in the groups and go, "What do you think of this?" And I'm like, fuck off.
Honestly, I don't know how much of it is for comedic value and having a... Does it really annoy you?
Yes, it really does.
Really?
Yeah, it really does.
I just don't understand that.
I just can't get, like, basically I've also realised that I have my Elder now, like, of what I like and consider Elder. And everything that Games Workshop do, it's a little bit like, you know that saying, when you have a baby, they're like, it's like watching your favourite pub burn down. That's what I feel like with Elder, is I'm watching, everything they do is wrong. It's exactly like the Star Wars films for me, the new ones. They were Star Wars, everything about them looked like Star Wars, but everyone who likes Star Wars knows that they're not Star Wars. You know? Yeah. And that's what it feels like.
I don't care for care for Star Wars, but even I knew the last 3 were wrong.
Like, just like the fact that she, and it's a simple thing, she could use the Force brilliantly straight away with no training. And the thing is, it's their franchise, it's their story, so they can write whatever is real. So it's not wrong because they're the ones who are writing the story. And obviously, this is
Yeah,
what
but
we've got with Eldar and Games Workshop.
yeah, I think it's really unfair to compare the last 3 Star Wars films to the new Eldar range. Really
If
unfair.
anything, Star Wars was better, like
Oh,
less of a.
behave.
No, well, no, genuinely for me, every single they could have done it worse, sure, but nothing in it, nothing I've seen out of these releases is, in my opinion, real. But you understand, looking at this Elder, that's what I want my Elder to be, and that's where I will live. That's with Juan on my side, keeping me, like, feeding me.
Is he going to sculpt you a complete squad of Guardians then to show you what they should be like?
He's going to do me a new avatar. He's going to do me. He's basically going to do everything I've ever dreamed of. And he is doing me a squad of Guardians, but not fresh.
He's found a
like
whale,
this.
hasn't he? He's found a whale, and he thought, can't believe some guy wants me to pay him to sculpt an entire army, particularly when there's perfectly good models already out there. But I'll do it. That is nice. That is nice.
I think, and I can't get this cast either, so I can't even paint it. But I'm just enjoying it for just IP reasons.
So you're not going to paint the green. You're just going to leave it like that.
Yeah, I can't paint.
I agree
on
with
the green.
you.
Yeah,
I agree with you. So you can't get it cast. Why not?
It's just the agreement we had. Because he worked for Games Workshop, it's not like he's some Russian lad in the middle of nowhere. Like
he still works for Games Workshop.
No, he doesn't still work there, but it's this is a direct copy of a model that they released. So if he sculpts an avatar and it's not based on the avatar they did, it's his own invention, then obviously they can't sue him or me if I sculpt it. Even if I don't, I mean, in theory, he could sculpt this, he could cast this for me, and I could paint one, and obviously we don't sell it, and it would be fine because it's just you're just making a copy of it. But yeah, we both agreed that we wouldn't. So
I don't know. I still think him casting, not him, even if he's not casting, I still think him sculpting and selling you at a cost to you is still an IP issue. I think the fact that it's not being casted, there's no suppose about it. I think I think just because he's not casting it and putting more copies into the world than there already is doesn't make it all right.
So I may as well get it cast, is what we're saying.
I'm not saying that, Jamie, because you know what I do.
Well, of course. Yeah.
What I'm saying is, I don't.
The damage is already done.
Yeah, I don't think you sidestepped any legalities by just having the green, because just having an original sculpt of an IP isn't a breach of the IP. I think.
I mean, I'm not a lawyer. I think though they, I think they released their IP, the whole guidelines on it, and if I remember correctly, in those guidelines it says you can't sell for money. So,
you're not breaching IP. But there are 2 people in the party, and one of you is. Because one of you is making money for an Eldar IP. So
it's an interesting one. Yeah. I mean, I'll edit all this out. We won't go out with this now.
Fairly black and white one.
Well, I mean, it's got his name over it. He knows where we're doing. It would be unusual for a company like Games Workshop to go after someone for sculpting a small model, but stranger things have happened. So I don't know.
And on that sticky legal bombshell,
I was going to say, I don't know how long this show has been, but it's been a lot more than an hour. I might try and add. No, I can't be bothered. But if someone made it through this long of bitching, they had a really boring painting session. That's what I'd say.
Be interesting to know what other people think of the Eldar sculpts.
But not just Eldar,
I don't know,
not specifically.
I don't know if I want to open that can of worms in the comments by asking. Oh, my camera's going to get me. By asking what people think, but
personally, I would like to know what they think about Games Workshop, but I know the opinion of the masses, and it genuinely is everybody really likes them.
I
Many,
I
many more
I
people
I,
like.
I always wonder whether there's a vocal minority in terms of
Mm.
the grieving, and a lot of people who aren't bothered don't bother wasting their time tapping the keyboard.
Yeah, well, the sales it simply suggest that it's clearly working.
I suppose the question you got to ask yourself is who's more angry at the minute, Eldar fans or Warner Brothers and DC viewers?
Because
Because they're the only other angry ones out there at the minute. You don't follow the stuff, do you? But don't worry, I don't want to start on it now. But the whole Snyderverse, the whole what's happening in the new films, the whole reboot, and what's allegedly coming in, and whatnot. It's quite amusing seeing
well,
the
I saw
comments and the
something
people getting so angry.
something that really annoyed me.
Like real venom,
Like me with
this,
Elder.
oh, worse than you, Jamie. There are some people who are really angry.
Yeah, well, at the end of the day, I know it's a game, but it's just disappointing. But yeah, I suppose if it's your lifeblood, then it's a lot harder to stomach. But I saw a very frustrating poster for the Flash movie that really annoyed me because it had two Batmans in it. So straight away there, I already know everything that's happening in that film, and it really fucking pissed me off.
That's the fan made poster. If it's the one that I'm
Oh,
thinking
is
of,
it?
yeah, it does. It doesn't mean what's in it isn't real because
What's the dick move? It's basically just it's just just funny that
that's
both of them.
It's a fan made poster, the one that you've seen, but that's the uproar. So effectively, it's difficult for me because obviously you don't like spoilers and stuff. But effectively, they're rewriting. They usually
Right, I
flash.
know. I've worked it out now. He obviously went to another universe in the end of the Spider-Verse film, not Spider-Verse, Snyder Cut, whatever the hell it's called. What was that film called?
Justice
With
League.
Justice League.
Justice
So he's
League.
obviously gone to exactly the same as what Spider-Man's done. And there's going to be different Batmans from all the different eras. That's my take on it. Oh, you're keeping.
Oh well, I don't know. I don't want to ruin it. I mean, I can comment on the comic book because I don't know whether the film's going to follow that route. But in the comic book, what Barry Allen does is he decides once he realizes that he can travel to alternate universes, he decides to go back or attempts to go back in order to save his mum from dying.
Right.
And in doing so, the shockwaves of what he does changes the present and the of where he is, where you have
so the Batman
in that
changes
book.
then.
Yeah, so the Riptides go through, and effectively in that book, in the mugging with the Waynes, Bruce Wayne gets shot and dies. Thomas Wayne survives and becomes Batman, but he's a different type of Batman. He's as a grieving father, he's a more aggressive, darker Batman who's got a different morality compass in terms of killing and whatnot. Yeah. And his mum becomes the Joker because she loses her mind.
That's quite funny.
So, and that's
it's a short series then in those comics. It's not like a longevity.
It was kind of like a reboot. They kind of used it to take an alternate version, and then they kind of DC have done in the comic books have done a number of reboots where they try to do different things. The New 52, Rebirth, where they basically try to change the characters but keep it in the narrative, which is why it's slightly messy. However, the film, they're using the same theory, but they're using it to reboot the DCEU for various reasons because they've got actors leaving and actors not wanting to come back. So rather than restart again, because Ben Affleck has openly come out and said, "I'm done with the role. I don't want to do the role anymore. So I've done my 3 films under contract. I don't want to do any more." So rather than rebooting his Batman, what they're going to do is they're going to bring another Batman in.
Yeah, from a different right.
Yeah, so they've got a Batman for that universe without having to reset everything and reboot all over again. And the narrative and continuity stays.
Hmm.
But the rumor is, and it's still a rumor at the moment, is the other thing is Henry Cavill. Henry
He still
Cavill,
wants to do
people,
it though, right?
he wants to do it, but he isn't signed on. And a lot of people are blaming Warner
Mm.
Brothers, saying that, oh, he's brilliant as Superman, should bring him on. What people are saying is he is out of contract, and the contract negotiations he's trying to drive are too expensive. So it's
Mm.
not that Warner
Hmm.
Brothers don't want him. Warner Brothers can't. Warner Brothers can't afford him.
Yeah,
And
especially as the
obviously, with
films
the,
weren't that box office successful either.
I think they were good, but I don't know what he's asking. Rumored, I don't know what he's asking. But at the minute, he's making £1 million an episode from The Witcher, which is what,
Hmm.
12 episodes a year. So he's making 12 million from that to start off with. He's then obviously got movies that he's got going on. He's got the reboot of The Highlander. He's going to be in that. So he doesn't want to be tied in to a DC contract for a six
Yeah,
film
feel like it's
deal.
yeah,
It's going to affect his earnings elsewhere and what he can do. So obviously he's asking, arguably, or if you believe the rumors, he's asking for money that is beyond their gift to give. So as a result, it looks like they're bringing in a Supergirl instead. So what you're going to have by the end is a new Justice League where
yeah.
everything that has happened before is still canon,
Hmm.
but they've changed the setup and rebooted the universe. Well, not rebooted, but altered the
Yeah, yeah,
universe
changed.
through Flashpoint in order to get the Justice League you're going to have at the end of the Flashpoint.
They'll
And
probably
that's
keep the
what
same
people are
Diana.
angry. Yeah, and that's what, yeah, same Diana. And you've got the individuals going, oh, this is woke, because what they're saying is we're going to have a Batgirl, a Superwoman, and a Wonder Woman as a Holy Trinity.
Mm.
And obviously, there's a toxic masculine kind of
Yeah,
movement hitting up against that. But what you got to look at it is that you've got your main star saying, I don't want to make these films anymore. So what are they meant to do? Drag him by gunpoint and make him do it.
yeah, yeah.
And
It's quite a smart way to
another
write
one
it
they
in.
can't afford. Sorry.
Yeah, it is a smart way to write in character changes.
It
You can
is.
only do it
And
once, but
to be fair, I do feel for them. I do feel, I mean, they messed up with what they did with Joss Whedon and getting him to take over
yeah,
Snyder's
massively.
vision. Because that really, I think a lot of that, if you believe what happened on set and how he treated the actors, I think a lot of goodwill went as a result of that film, which is why
Especially
you've
from
had
those
that.
actors. Yeah,
Exactly, which is
and
why
the
you've got,
public, to be honest. Yeah,
yeah, which is why you've probably got one actor saying, you know what, I don't want to do it anymore, regardless, because it left a bad taste in my mouth. And another actor thinking, well, if that's the case, the way I was treated, I want some compensation in the sum. So they are partly to blame, but I think they're making the best of what they can do, because the only other option then is to reboot all over again,
yeah.
you know.
But I'll tell
And
you what's interesting that they're not rebooting is I don't know if they're going to have different writers, different producers, different directors. But the major problem with the DC things is they're just not enough like the comics, in my opinion, because they're worried that they'll go too dark and they won't appeal to the Marvel version of. Marvel is a family film, isn't it? Whereas for
yeah, I
me,
don't know. I disagree. I think Snyder's take was quite dark, and I think a lot
yeah,
of
but that
people
wasn't
complain
that wasn't
about Man of.
a cinema release though.
No, but his other stuff. I think a lot of people complain about Man of Steel, or the
I like Man of
criticism
Steel.
of Man of Steel is that it was too dark for a Superman
Yeah.
movie. I think
That's
it
why
was
I
all
liked
right.
it probably. Yeah,
Yeah.
I really liked it. I think it had emotion, and the baddie wasn't even a real baddie; he was just an anti-villain, really, because he was just trying to save his own race, which you would try and do yourself, wouldn't you?
Well, yeah. Well, a well-written villain is somebody you can empathise with, isn't it?
There you go. Felt sorry for him at the end.
But yeah, so I don't know. They're in a
Well, I've heard that the new Batman, which has got nothing to, it's obviously a separate thing.
yeah.
That's really dark. Now, I'm really hoping that it's really dark on every
I
level.
think from the test screenings they've said, a lot of people are coming out and saying it's more akin to a horror film.
Yeah, which I think
Um,
is exactly. I'll tell you what film I loved, really loved, and I didn't know it was a horror film at all. Was the Superman who went evil? It's a horror film. It wasn't. It was
Oh,
like Darks.
Brightburn.
Brightburn. Fuck me. I love that film. I
Yeah,
couldn't
that's
believe
very
how
good.
much I love that film.
Yeah.
If it's obviously it won't be quite like that, but if it's a similar feeling, then I will.
I think when they say horror, I think they mean not in terms of graphics, but in
Suspenseful.
tone, in
Yeah.
filter, and allegedly the Riddler is more akin to like the Jigsaw in terms of how he deals with his victims. Um,
Fair enough.
so
Yeah.
I,
Rather
I, I
than
think
yeah.
I think it look. I like Patterson as an actor. I think he's a very good actor.
Mhm.
Um, I like the visuals from what I've seen of the trailer. It looks very comic book in terms of the coloration and things he's used. The only problem I have with it is as much as I like Patterson as an actor, for me, he doesn't really have the physicality for the character.
Yeah.
Um,
He's a very
I,
slim build, isn't he?
yeah, and it's not saying that Batman has to be huge, but for me, he's always he should look like an MMA fighter or a cage fighter because
Yeah.
he's for me, he's the one character who should be the most physically advanced because he has no
Yeah.
powers, in the
Yeah.
sense that every ounce of tissue muscle has to serve as a function. And if he makes one mistake, it's why I love him as he's my favorite hero. If he makes one mistake, he's done. Whereas for
Yeah.
me,
Yeah.
Superman isn't a hero because he can
Yeah.
make hundreds of mistakes and turn the other cheek and he's still going to be all right unless it's
Yeah.
kryptonite. So, and I think that when you've got a character who could lose his life any time on the street, creates
Yeah.
a
There's
very
real
different kind
jeopardy
of,
in theory.
yeah, it creates a
Yeah.
different kind of character and it creates a different kind of physicality. And I think he would have, even if he was year one, year two Batman, I just think he'd have a physicality about him that you'd need to look at him and fill your pants before he's even done anything.
Yeah. Well, that was the interesting
Because
thing about the Bat flick. The Bat. What was he called? Bat Affleck.
Affleck,
The
yeah,
Batfleck. He just went for Wedge. Whereas I've always seen Batman as actually quite a athletic build, but strong. He's good at martial arts. He's good at basically all of those kind of things. Whereas Batflick or whatever he's called, he was just fucking huge.
but like I said, there are different variations of Batman
Yeah,
in the comic.
depending on the
So,
artist as well.
so Batflex was meant to be the Dark Knight version, which is older in his years, and in order
Mm,
to compensate, he's built like a tank.
yeah, yeah,
So he's a bit like you've seen the last Rocky Balboa, where he basically went, "You're not," and he fights that younger fighter that matchup, and he says, you haven't got the speed anymore. You haven't got the endurance. You just have to build some hurting bombs. You just have to level this guy within 2 rounds, 3 rounds. And that's what the older Batman is. The older Batman knows he can't go blow for blow for ages. He needs to end the fight quickly. And
yeah.
that's the kind of vision they had with Batfleck. That's why he looked like a tank.
He
And
did.
that
He
version
was.
exists. That version exists in the
Yeah,
comics.
yeah. Okay, yeah. I've not. I don't know much about the DC comics, to be honest. Not as much
Like I
as
said,
a real reader.
there are different versions, but for me, I liked Affleck's in the sense that the bitterness, the paranoia, and the physicality he had, when you've
Yeah,
been doing that role for that many years, I don't think you pull your punches.
yeah. Because what's the point? You know they're going to get back up. You know the
Yeah.
judicial system doesn't really work. Yeah,
Yeah, and in that version of it, particularly the warehouse scene, he maimed everybody, and
that was
which you have
nice.
to do.
Yeah,
Yeah, he doesn't kill them, but equally they're not walking out of there. They're not leaving in an
yeah. He quite
unless
enjoys
it's
the
in
leg breaks. Yeah, the
unless
arm
it's in an
breaks.
ambulance, and that's because you have to, because if you don't neutralize the threat, 5 minutes later that guy's going to kill you.
Mm.
So in that sense, the fighting style, Affleck's was the closest for me.
Yeah, well, the
And,
whole
and it's,
Bale one was interesting. I still really enjoyed the films, but they didn't actually focus on Batman. It was more about the story, wasn't it? Really.
but yeah, Bale's was good, and Nolan's was a very different take, wasn't it? It was a
Mm.
more realistic, but that
Realistic.
Batman could
Yeah,
exist.
yeah, exactly.
Whereas Affleck's couldn't. Affleck's was a
Mhm.
comic book Batman straight from
Yeah,
the
yeah.
comic book
He'd be dead
to keep
in
up
real
with
life.
Superman. Yeah, but
Yeah,
you if you had financing and you tried to become Batman, you would end up like Nolan's version.
yeah, basically, yeah, yeah. But
Yeah.
also, there were no superheroes to try and or super villains to try and kill, which is a big
Yeah, nobody was super powered.
yeah, because they just dick all over you.
Even Bane, which I liked about it, is he had no anti-venom or his steroids. He was just basically a bodybuilder who could handle himself. So it was a very grounded It's a very grounded universe.
Yeah, that's why I suppose it had global appeal. I think we're like 2 hours now. Yeah.
Yeah. No, 1 o'clock. I'm going to go to bed. It's been a pleasure, Jamie. We'll be back in a fortnight again.
Yeah, hopefully less technical issues.
Yep.
I think I might change my camera. Anyway, see you later.
Take care, guys. Thanks for watching.
Thank you. Like, subscribe, share, bye.